Commentary Booth is a show for media lovers by media lovers just like you. If you want to support the show, go to pariomagazine.com.au. Welcome to the Commentary Booth, where we watch, and you guessed it, commentate on the week that was in movies and TV. I'm your host and play-by-play commentator, Jamie Apps, and each week I'll be joined by a rotating cast of colour commentators to help you find your next viewing treat. This week I'm joined by a DJ who lists his favourite movie as The Gentleman and favourite TV show as Parks and Rec. Welcome to the show, my mustached multiversal brother, Jaxon Carr.
Hello, and welcome to my new room, everyone. I moved the other week. Since the last episode, I also ran a marathon, I believe. So, welcome.
You did.
And my shirt's very great, yeah. It's all happening.
It's very multiversal for Jaxon. New life, new everything, new locations.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I was just, even before this, I was just learning how to make videos. And it was very similar to what I would do in Ableton when I do music stuff. So I was literally saying to my friend who was showing me, I was like, I feel like I'm in a multiverse because we're talking about Doctor Strange. I was like, usually I do this, but it's still similar. So it's all happening, really.
Handy when random skills like that transfer over quite well.
Yeah, like it was literally the same wave. As you know, with editing stuff, it was similar wave formats. I was like, oh, I know this. So yeah, multiverse. And in your multiverse, you make music. So we're good.
I would just like my multiverse person to be healthy at the moment.
Yes.
COVID sucks, and I'm only like 2 days into it, but it sucks.
Fucking hell. Sorry to hear. So glad you didn't infect me. Yes.
When I found that out, I was like, really? God damn it. But the joys of spending 8 hours in an airport, I guess.
Yeah, of course.
It was the worst travel weekend I've ever had.
Yeah, it doesn't sound pretty.
No. So yeah, this week we're exploring the multiverse with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And then we're going to revisit policing in Baltimore with We Own This City. So yeah, we'll dive into obviously the biggest movie out at the moment, I think. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, and we're in the Multiverse of Madness because I'm drinking a Young Henry's that I got given at the brewery before, not a Resch's. So thank you, Young Henry's, for this. This is very delicious. Young Henry's. Young Henry's.
You sponsored or something?
No, I was just leaving the meeting and they were like, do you want some beers for your podcast? And I was like, oh, yeah. And because now I've moved to Enmore, I'm like, oh, yeah, Young Henry's. 10 years old now, Young Henry's. Please sponsor this podcast.
I was going to say, maybe they'll as well. Maybe they'll sponsor us after this. Just got a great shout out.
Yeah, Young Henry's. If no one heard it, anyway. Continue.
So yeah, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, the latest entry into Phase 4 of the MCU, sequel to 2016's Doctor Strange, and the 28th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So many movies.
So many. So
this one's directed by Sam Raimi, who is famous for The Evil Dead, The Quick and the Dead, and the first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. And this is the first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie to fall into the horror genre, which I think it leans into quite heavily. Usually they're action or what else are they? Action or comedy, I think they usually fall into. But yeah, this one's very much a horror movie. What did you think of this one overall?
I liked it. I liked it for a number of reasons. It felt like a massive trip, to be honest, for 2 hours. But just the score was incredible, like the graphics and how they were like, because obviously people know that it's multiverse. So they're going through like multiverse. Just when they were going through and stuff, just the graphics were incredible. I really enjoy, like, I enjoyed the first Doctor Strange. I always love Doctor Strange when he pops into any of the MCU movies. I really did enjoy it. Yeah, it's finally, after the last couple, it's finally with Marvel's back with like a good movie. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was my thought as well. Like, it was definitely probably the best movie of Phase 4 so far.
Mm.
Actually, Spider-Man was probably a better quality movie for me, just in terms of hype level and everything. But I think out of sort of what do we had? The Eternals, Shang-Chi, and something else. This one was right up there. And
The Jared Leto movie that we will not name.
yeah, that we're not counting that. That was rubbish.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one is definitely back at like top tier MCU.
Yeah.
It wasn't as hype as I was expecting, and I think that's probably because of this was originally supposed to come out before Spider-Man, and I think that set the bar really high for multiverse and crossover potential. Whereas this this felt more like an introduction to that concept. It wasn't as full bore on, okay, we're going to bring in this random person from a Marvel movie from 20 years ago. Like, it was very Doctor Strange, Wanda, and like the crossover with the WandaVision TV show. Like, I feel like this movie, it stands alone as a good movie, but if you have that prior knowledge of the WandaVision Disney Plus show, that'll really take it to the next level.
Yeah, and you could kind of tell the fact that, for me, that it was planned before the Spider-Man, and then they changed it around because it would have been, as you said, like the perfect introduction into the multiverse with the perfect person to introduce it to the multiverse. But then Spider-Man came because of all the production, and like that was so big, and they're like, okay, we'll do it on the back of that. And while it was good, if they could have had the foresight to pre-plan it and be like, hey, this is multiverse, this is how it exists, and then move into Spider-Man, you would have been like, oh, this is that much better. But obviously with everything that's gone on with like COVID and production issues and like film timing and stuff, it makes like, you can't blame them for that. It's not like it was like a normal last couple of years. So with what they were doing, they did quite well to fill it, have it in like the storyline. Like they even made a joke. They were like, they brought up Spider-Man and like early on. And then even they were talking about like naming other Marvel characters without naming Marvel characters, being like, there's a bug and all this stuff. So it worked well to tie in with things, but I think they just needed to get it out rather than waiting even longer. So that's kind of where they landed with it.
Yeah, I honestly think the schedule change hurt this movie in terms of my excitement level walking out. Like, Spider-Man, those cameos in that movie are so hype and such unexpected cameos, whereas this one, the cameos are there, but a lot of them are spoiled in the trailer. Yeah. And then when they do happen, it's kind of just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Like, no offense, if you're listening to this podcast, you know who was in Spider-Man. So let's just say the fact that like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire came into Spider-Man, you're not going to top that unless like, I don't know, like unless you came in and like, I don't know, like, I don't want to spoil it, but like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like with those, like you're never going to top those cameos with any other movie that comes out. And if they would have done the cameos in Doctor Strange 2, like the second Doctor Strange, and then into that, it would have been like a good stepping stone. Whereas it's now you're like, oh, we're here. You're not going anywhere else. Like, you're not going anywhere else. You just, it's coming back. And as much as like the cameos, as you know, like as we were saying, we went to the premiere and on the screen, they were like, don't spoil it, blah, blah, blah. Any trailers, any storylines, any blah, blah, blah. And they said any cameos. And as soon as we saw that on the screen, I turned to you and I said, hey, cameos, like we know it's going to be in it. But you're never going to top those Spider-Man cameos, I don't think, ever again in a Marvel movie.
No. Before we sort of dive into like the full spoiler part of this review, what did you think of the post-credit scene as well? Like, it was the mid-credit scene, which I thought was a nice continuation of the story, but then that final post-credit scene, like, it was funny, but it's totally not worth waiting around like you expect.
I'm going to disagree with you. It was funny, yes, but as we were saying when we're waiting, I love the fact that Marvel have put these post-credit scenes in because it shows respect to everyone that's worked on the movie. While the final credit scene wasn't something to set up, whatever, like wasn't like a big wall thing. It was more nice the fact that, like, especially through what Marvel have gone through over the past 2 years with COVID, like as we've discussed before, my ex worked on Thor and the what was the other one?
Shang-Chi.
Yeah, Shang-Chi. And she worked on, and she had to COVID test all the staff members every single day. And that was everyone from the main actors to like the food runners. So I feel it's a nice ode at the moment to everyone sees who's in this movie. So while the final credit scene wasn't groundbreaking, I like the fact that we sat there, even though you had to go to the toilet, I had to go to the toilet. We still got to see all, and I was openly like looking at all these people. So I feel it's a nice ode to everyone that's worked on the movie during a tough time in one of the only industries that was surviving during the past couple of years. So yeah, I think it was worth it just for that reason.
That's true. And then a couple of notes and things about this movie. It has been banned in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Kuwait, and Qatar due to the two mums of America Chavez.
Oh!
Which is, it's literally 12 seconds of the movie. And they've banned the entire thing because Disney basically refused to cut that scene out just because that they didn't like that, which was cool.
Good on Disney. Good on Disney, yeah.
This is Sam Raimi's first directed feature film in 9 years, which is cool to see. And he really does. I do like that Kevin Feige has kind of shifted the tone of MCU now, where before it was kind of like they had a formula. I was like, okay, this is what an MCU movie is. And now they're going, let's get Taika Waititi, let's get Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
Let's just give them the characters and let them do something funky with it. And they're doing that. Like, they're really injecting their own flair into it.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, this movie was filmed at the same time as Spider-Man, No Way Home, and Thor, Love and Thunder. So Marvel really putting in the hard yards mid-COVID. Like, they were just filming 3 movies in 3 different parts of the world all at the same time. Yeah. And that shows how invested Kevin Feige is to make sure that these all sync up and make sense together.
Because Thor was here, as we know, like Centennial Park and stuff. Doctor Strange was in LA and New York, and then Spider-Man would have been similar as well, right?
Yeah, so what I read was Thor was here in Sydney. Spider-Man was Atlanta, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
And Doctor Strange was London.
Oh.
For the most part.
Because in the post-credit scenes, I saw London, but there was also like, obviously they filmed other stuff elsewhere, but like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so. And yeah, Elizabeth Olsen flew from filming WandaVision. 2 days after that, she flew to London to do this movie. So she put in the hard yards too. She was right on it.
Side note, I love Benedict Cumberbatch, or whatever his last name is, as an actor, but she's
the star of this movie.
She was like, honestly, she was incredible. Growing up as a 32-year-old man, I loved Full House when I was younger. I loved the Olsen twins. Always had a crush on them. Probably my first crush with Amanda Bynes. But I was watching her. I was like, she was phenomenal. That's one of the best portrayals of a character in a Marvel movie I've ever seen. Like, she was just badass. She nailed everything. She was like, she was so good. Like, she just, like off the top of my head, top 2 or 3 acting performances in a Marvel movie I've ever seen. I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
I loved the motivations they gave her character too. It wasn't just, I'm the bad guy because I want to rule the world or something. It was kind of like, what's the bad guy from the Avengers?
Thanos.
It was kind of like he had motivations.
Know Thanos' name?
No, I just totally blanked on it. Hey, I got COVID brain. Leave me alone.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Thanos, his whole motivation was like he was trying to do the good thing because he didn't want the universe to die from lack of food and stuff, so he wanted to eliminate half of it. And her motivations were purely, I want to save my kids. And then like that gives her...
Great thing leading up to Mother's Day. Obviously, this is going to come out after Mother's Day, but take your mum out to a late Mother's Day movie at cinema and she'll love it. Buy some popcorn, probably a Pepsi Max or a Chardonnay if she's anything like my mum, and just show the respect of a boss bitch as a mum, like, you know?
Yeah, like it gives her like perfect motivations. You're not going to question why she's doing this. Like, she's a mum that just wants to save her kids, and it makes sense, even though her kids are like weirdly fictional and multiversal at the same time. And overall, the movie wasn't as trippy as I expected, though.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Spider-Man No Way Home, we had that weird, like, mirror universe.
Yeah.
And watching that really messed up my brain.
Oh,
Whereas this one didn't have any sort of universes like that where it was super trippy and whacked out, apart from the paint one.
If there's anyone under 18 or if there's any police listening, please block your ears for a second. I would love to watch this movie in a similar mindset to what goes on in the movie, because I think that would be a very good experience.
It'd certainly be an experience.
Nothing else.
It'd certainly be an experience. Okay, so now we're going to go like full spoilers. So if you haven't watched the movie but want to sort of read a bit more, we've got the review up on Pario. Otherwise, go and watch the movie and then come back.
I frothed over that review.
Thank you.
Also, I was about to get my hair cut today, and I was there, and I saw the City Hub, and there was 2 great articles in the City Hub, one about Shaq and one about ambulance. It was nice to read. Also, thank you for complimenting my hair, everyone. I feel it looks very nice. So, well done, Jamie, arts editor of City Hub magazine. Well done.
Good stuff. The cameos. What did you think of? There was a few cameos. The first, I think probably the biggest one, was Patrick Stewart coming back as Professor X. Like, that was the most hype one, purely because of Danny Elfman's use of the 97 X-Men theme.
He, just please refresh my mind, he's the smartest man in the world, right?
Yes. He's like,
really not, because
telekinesis and stuff.
How the hell are you the smartest man in the world and you not see what happened to him? Like, I was talking before when I was with my friend doing the video stuff, because he saw it last night as well. How's the smartest man in the world not being able to see that? Like, if you've ever seen a movie in your life, you know if there's someone in a cave, you're gonna get booted. Like, you're dead. Like, you're clearly not the smartest man in the world. So sorry, that was a bit of a plot hole I did not enjoy. Smartest man in the world would have been like, oh, he's coming behind me. Ooh, boom! Like, sorry. Like, that's something that I was like, that's probably one of the biggest things that I have now realized that I didn't enjoy about the movie. But it was great he was in it, and the 97 theme, as you see in the credits. But
yeah, I think just that moment where he wheels out with that theme playing, I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever, like nothing special.
Yeah.
I did like that they got Haley Atwell as Captain Carter from the animated What If show, like the British Captain America character. That was a cool one.
Yeah.
Lashana Lynch as Maria Rambo. That was another cool one. Like, I did like that they sort of brought in the alternate Avengers characters.
Yeah. I was very disappointed at the fact that we didn't have a new Iron Man, Tom Cruise Iron Man, as was hyped up with everything. That would have been wonderful. Like when Doctor Strange in his final, like in the universe, and he saw that Doctor Strange died defeating Thanos, I was like, all right, Iron Man is coming. Like, he has to come right now, because the only logical thing is Iron Man's alive. But there was no reference whatsoever to Iron Man. And I'm not sure if that was because there was, like, I don't know, maybe there's a contract thing with Robert Downey Jr. where they can't talk about Iron Man anymore, but that was really lacking. That would have been the perfect segue to be like a new Iron Man.
Yeah, I think that's where this movie sort of fell a little bit flat, with probably our own fault, like buying into the rumors as much as sort of we did, because the rumors for this movie were like through the roof of Tom Cruise, Iron Man, Spider-Man coming back. Like, we didn't even get Spider-Man, which was surprising.
Yeah. But then also when in Spider-Man, all the rumors came true.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what people were building up. But I don't know, like, to be honest, there was probably a contract with Robert Downey Jr. because, you know, anytime he's in any MCU movie, even if it's like a flashback, he gets paid like 5% of the movie fucking like profit. So
yeah, that's where I think like just switching those two movies around would have helped this one so much because like these cameos, if these were the first time we'd seen the multiverse, would have been cool. Like the X-Men got introduced. John Krasinski comes
Fantastic
in
Four,
as Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four. Like those two would have been awesome. But then once we got Spider-Man with 3 Spider-Men from 3 separate Sony Spider-Man productions, it kind of elevated it to a level that couldn't really be topped. I was disappointed we didn't get as much X-Men as well. Like, all we got was Professor X. We didn't get a Wolverine. We didn't get anyone.
Just try to get. I would have loved like, as you said, like it would be nice to have like some more like X-Men and stuff in it. But I think they were just doing it to try to keep like the trademark. But like, imagine having like. There was so much potential with it, but then again, they probably spent a lot of money on Spider-Man, where they're like, "Oh, we can't spend on this," or they spent a lot of money on Jared Leto, and like, we can't do this as well. Imagine like a Deadpool from another universe, and the Deadpool from another universe is like, I don't know, like Ryan Gosling, or like because it's like another Ryan, like another like person that like Ryan Reynolds is friends with, and like Hugh Jackman is fucking Deadpool, or someone like funny like that. Like there was so much potential for the multiverse stuff, and it just kind of fell flat.
Even if they just brought Ryan Reynolds in as Deadpool, like I think that would have been another level of like, okay, cool, we've just linked MCU with X-Men, Deadpool, and the upcoming Fantastic Four. Like that's 4 big links that sort of need to be established. I hope now we get to see more X-Men at some point. Hopefully Phase 5 has an X-Men movie in it.
I really agree with that, especially because my name has an X in it, and I used to feel when I was younger I was an X-man or an X-child, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what I'm like as a grown-up.
Yeah, I love X-Men. What did you think of, there was another character in the Illuminati that I thought was very strange. Blackagar Boltagon. What did you think of that character?
Is that the bloke with the horseshoe on his head?
The forks, yeah. It didn't talk, and then when he did, he just vaporized.
That's another thing that was just dumb. Like, they were like, he will now kill you with his voice. Do it. Like, if you can do it, do it. Like, don't like stall and be like, oh, I can do this. Like, just and just do it. Like, that's what was just like another flaw with those movies. Like, it would be nice if he would have died without him knowing what was going on, because like clearly he could have stopped this person who's killed all their robots, all the people, and they've come to like the final bosses, and it's like, just do it. Like, dumb. That's another plot hole I didn't like.
I did like that they killed him off pretty quick though, because he did seem like a pretty C or D tier Marvel character. And I was like, at least they killed him off in a funny way.
Yeah.
He's just popping his own skull with his voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I enjoyed this movie, but yeah, it didn't hit the heights of what I was expecting, and it doesn't. Spider-Man No Way Home is still the top Marvel movie this year.
The musical battle was probably my favorite part of the whole movie, just because obviously me frothing over music. But I don't know. I don't think any movie's going to top Spider-Man. Like, even watching that Thor trailer, doesn't look that interesting. And like, I don't know if I'm biased because of previous experiences in my life, and I just don't want to be like, oh, but it just doesn't look as good as it could be. I just think they're kind of just falling a bit flat at the moment. Yeah,
like I think Thor looks funny, and you're a Taika fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, so I think it could hit, but yeah, it could also fall very flat.
It could be one of those movies where everyone's just they try too hard, but I don't know. I'll watch it with an open mind, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, like so far I don't have high hopes. I think the next big MCU movie that I'm super high in my expectations for are Blade.
Oh, what about Black Panther?
Black Panther could work, but that's got so many like issues around it at the moment. With,
I have a feeling they'll be very good as a tribute, and I just have a feeling it'll jerk you to, like, it'll be like when the first Marvel movie came out after Stan Lee died, the credits and stuff. I reckon it will just get people wrapped. I reckon it'll get people wrapped in really early, and everyone will be riding that train. It's been like, this is hectic. Like, I'm a bit worried about Blade because remaking like good old 90s stuff, but
Yeah, true. But yeah, Black Panther was definitely going to be a tearjerker. But yeah, just with all the issues around who's our lead character now. The actress that plays his sister has a little bit of like controversy surrounding her. So it's kind of like, this movie could struggle. But yeah, Blade, I loved the original Blade. So hopefully they do that justice. And then ideally, they'll announce X-Men at some point, and then that one I'll be hyped on. As long as we get Gambit in the X-Men movie.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big Gambit fan, even though everybody that I've talked to says that's weird.
Nah, I'll get around that.
The next show we checked out this week was the 6-episode HBO miniseries, which currently has 2 episodes on binge, called We Own This City. It's based on a non-fiction book by Baltimore Times reporter Justin Fenton and tells the story of the rise and fall of the Baltimore Police Department's gun trace task force and just the crazy amounts of corruption involved in that group. What did you think of the first episode?
When you told me to watch this, like, I never watched The Wire. Never had any interest. I don't really have a lot of interest in police shows, to be honest. And you were like, okay, we need we'll be transparent here. We discuss what we're going to talk about. And you're like, okay, we need a second thing to talk about. Let's watch this show. And I was like, I looked at it, I was like, I knew it was the guy from The Wire. I was like, I've never watched The Wire. I don't have any interest in this. But I was like, okay, I'll watch it. Didn't watch the trailer, turned it on. The fucking Punisher's in it. I was like, this is why you wanted me to watch this show. And I found it kind of weird that the Punisher was now a police officer, but I love him as an actor. So I was like, yep, I'm all in. I watched it. And I'm excited for these 6 episodes. I wish I could have watched the second one because the second one's out now, but life takes over. But I found myself watching it, doing some things, and I was watching it, doing some things, and then I was like, okay, this is great. And then like the end of the first episode, I was like, oh, I need to watch more, but I have other stuff to do. But yeah, I can see why you got me to watch it, and it's just great. I really, 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 really enjoyed it.
Yeah, like obviously, John Bernthal stars as Sergeant Wayne Jenkins, who's like the leader of the gun trace task force, and put together by the same writers as The Wire. So it's kind of like a spiritual successor, with The Wire being set in Baltimore as well. And it starts off quite slow, but towards the end of episode 1, you sort of start to see how the police become corrupted. And then episode 2 takes that to a whole new level, like talking about their income and how they stack the courtroom so that they get paid overtime for going to court and all this stuff. So like when they'll make an arrest for someone that has marijuana on them, they'll arrest all the group, so that then that's 3 people on the court docket. So then they have to spend 3 times as long at the courts, and it just becomes crazy stuff. I found this to be like really poignant in the time that it's come out, following sort of the Black Lives Matter rallies in 2020 and the death of George Floyd. Like there's some moments in this that are very heavy to watch, with the arrests of black men and stuff like that. Like really good show. Like I didn't expect too much out of it. I was like, this looks like, I've heard so much hype about The Wire. Like, okay, this is by the creators of The Wire. It's got John Bernthal. I don't think this is going to be a bad show. So watching it, I was like, yep, I can see why The Wire is so hyped now, if this is the sort of caliber we get, where it's really gritty and it feels really true to life.
Yeah, it's funny. So when I moved one street parallel to where I used to do stuff with Steve Lynn, is the main thing. And I messaged him. I was like, oh, I've moved here a couple of weeks ago because I haven't spoken in a while. And I was like, oh, he's like, cool. And then I messaged him yesterday, and I was like, I started watching the show. It's based on the people that like made The Wire. And he's like, yeah, I've already started it. I'm 2 episodes in. I loved it. he's like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, it's good. And he goes, bro, that's why I told you to watch The Wire. It's fucking hectic. Like, it's taking you, we've known each other for 10 years. I've told you to watch The Wire for this long. You never have. And now you're watching this other show. And I was like, The Wire has a lot of episodes. I don't have a lot of time. Like 1 or 2 episodes is fine for me. But yeah, I need to I don't know. Dry July, I need to sit down and watch like The Wire. Because, you know what I mean? I'm not as busy during that kind of month. So like, yeah, like I can see why it has such a cult following and why it's so good. Like why people literally watch it, finish it, and then start again. Right.
Yep. Yeah, like this is, like we said, it's only 6 episodes. They're about an hour each. So that's 6 hours, whereas The Wire is 5 full seasons. So that's a much bigger time commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to eagerly finish watching the next 4 episodes of this show and then probably download The Wire and get ready to watch that on the plane.
Yeah, just watch on the plane. Perfect.
Alrighty, so yeah, that's everything.
The plane will be perfect for you, plane will be perfect for you because you'll have no interruptions like your phone. So you can just give it, because when The Wire first came out, obviously no one had social media on the phone, so you'd like give yourself these hours to watch these shows. That's why like everyone rewatches their old shows like The Office, Seinfeld, Parks and Rec, The Wire, Gossip Girl, like because people never had distractions and they know the show. Whereas now you like watch a show for being on your phone. Whereas you'll be on a plane for 14 hours, you can get realistically 7 episodes done with 5 hours of sleep.
Yep. Yeah, that's the plan. Get as much Wire done, and then when I land in Vegas, just crash out next to the pool and watch more Wire.
Yeah, perfect. You change your flights, you go to Baltimore. Be like, hey guys, I'm in Baltimore.
I don't know. After seeing this show, the Baltimore doesn't look all that appealing to me.
Yeah.
They were saying in 2015 there were 324 homicides in a single year in a city of just 600,000 people.
Jesus Christ.
Like Baltimore seems scary as all hell.
Yep.
But yeah, very good show. Definitely worth a watch on binge now that it's very early into the season.
Yeah.
In terms of top recommendations for the week, I think I know which one you'll be leaning towards though.
Yeah, you can't go past Doctor Strange.
Yep. Yeah, I'm the same. Go and watch Doctor Strange, especially in the cinemas. Like, that score needs to be heard on the big movie sound systems, and just the spectacle of that movie deserves the big screen.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Thank you everyone for listening to the commentary booth. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe on podcast services and on YouTube. You can follow Jaxon on TikTok at Jax_Carr. And you can follow me on social media at JamieUpsMedia and at Pario Magazine. Ah, there it is. Very nice.
The other day. Yeah.
Alrighty. Thanks, Jaxon, and I'll chat to you shortly.
Yep, all good. Thank you.
The Commentary Booth is a fan-funded production of Jamie Apps Media. You can support the podcast alongside our magazine, Pario Magazine, on Patreon at patreon.com/JamieAppsMedia. The following people supported at the community support group level or higher, and you cannot fathom how incredibly appreciative we are for their support. Brian and June Hart, Blake Robinson, Rena Renee, Courtney Paulson, Darren Hatcliffe, Jaxon Carr, and Tracy Apps.